I liked the first movie a lot. I really did. Transformers was great. I really liked it. So I had a lot of hope for this series because I really enjoyed the first movie quite a bit. Like I really did enjoy that film, and I still do. I recently watched it again. It's still a lot of fun. So I had hope that the series was going to be great, but the second one was awful, and the third one, while not terrible, wasn't that great. It had some great action scenes, especially the one in Chicago, but it still had a lot of the goofy shit that was in the second movie. So I had a lot of hope that this new one, this is going to be a new part of a brand new Transformers trilogy, was going to replicate what the first movie did, where it was like all about sure, it was all about the human characters, but they were either interesting or kind of likable. And then when the Transformers came on, oh man, they're interesting, they're badass, the action's great, the special effects are great, very innovative action, whatever. I was expecting a lot of fun from this film. Ooh, this movie is not only the most boring piece of shit I've watched this year, but it just made me mad. Oh, it made me so mad. There is some good stuff in this film, but overall, it is the worst of the series. Not by far, the second one's awful, but so far, it is the worst of the series, and it is a terrible start for a brand new trilogy of films. There's so many inconsistencies, stupid-ass jokes that aren't funny, boring as hell action scenes, and the runtime. Oh, this is one of the longest movies I've ever sat through. And I mean, I sat through stuff recently like Django Unchained and Wolf of the Wolf. I was about to say Wolf Among Us, Wolf of Wall Street and stuff. Those movies were 2.5 hours, over 2.5 hours long. Hell, even Les Miserables was almost 2.5 hours long. You know what those movies had against this? They were entertaining. Those movies were entertaining. They were entertaining. That means that it went by quick. This movie was around the same length as something like Django Unchained, but guess what? It was boring as hell. It was monotonous. It was repetitive. It really was. It was the same things over and over again that we've seen in other Transformers films and just thrown in here just because, hey, we'll make some more money if we show the same shit over and over again. Optimus, oh, he's almost close to death. Oh, he gets saved at the last minute. Or, oh, you think he's dead, but oh, he comes back and he whoops some ass or something. Oh, he beats the villain at the end. No shit. This movie just made me so mad. It really did. This movie pissed me off so freaking bad. And I'm not even going to explain the story. The story is nonsense in this film. Like, it starts off with the government hating the Autobots and, of course, the Decepticons for destroying half of Chicago in the last film and killing a bunch of people. The government's trying to kill off all the Autobots and Decepticons. And, of course, Mark Wahlberg gets thrown into the mix because he finds a destroyed truck, which is actually Optimus Prime. He revives him, and now he's working with Optimus to fight off the government that's trying to... It's not the government, but you know what I mean. But anyway, the government who's trying to, destroy Autobots and blah, blah, blah. And there's a freaking bounty hunter transformer called Lockdown, who is the coolest character in the movie, by the way, and not used at all, really. Who comes down, and of course, he's trying to get Optimus for whatever reason, they don't explain. But, blah, 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 boom, 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 action, funny joke here, not really funny. And then, Dinobots show up for no reason, like, they're just like, hey, Autobots, Dinobots, fine. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, close up of this girl's butt, boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 slightly racist joke, boom, 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 really racist joke, boom, boom, boom. That's a fucking movie. There you go, I explained the whole movie, you don't even need to see it. 2 hours and 45 minutes explained in a minute of me going insane. There you go. That's all you need. I can write a better fucking movie than this. Aaron Kruger, the guy that wrote this, fire him. I could do it, man. I'll be your new Aaron Kruger. I'll be your dumb little bitch. If you're going to hire someone like this to write a movie, I can do it too. I don't like this film. I really don't. I think I said earlier that I did have a couple positives. I do actually have a couple positives. One positive is that Mark Wahlberg is actually a way better leading man than Shia LaBeouf was. Even though I really liked him in the first movie, the second and third ones, I couldn't really stand him. I really didn't like him. I thought he was good in this. I really did. He actually does stuff. He actually does some action scenes, and he does a relatively good job with them. He's Mark Wahlberg. He's done action before. And my second positive is that when they do show the Autobots, especially Optimus Prime, it's still a lot of fun when it's just them. Maybe not the action. The action is very boring in this film compared to the other films. But when it's the Autobots just like, you know, hanging out and talking and stuff, you know, when it's Optimus Prime talking to Mark Wahlberg or even the other Autobots in this film, it's fun. It is. I really love Peter Cullen, and he voices, of course, Optimus Prime. Whenever he talks, I'm just like, that's Optimus Prime. Even if his design is way off from what, you know, he looked like in the cartoon way back, I don't care. He is Optimus Prime. He could look like freaking, I don't know, a Smurf. And if Peter Cullen voiced that Smurf, I'll be like, hey, that's Smurf. I mean, that's Optimus Prime. So I really enjoyed whenever it was the Autobots just talking and stuff. And I also liked, there is some decent emotional moments with the Autobots. Like, there's one part in the beginning where one Autobot is getting destroyed, like getting shot down. He's just like, please, no. And there's some parts like that that are relatively well done. And also, it is definitely more serious and darker than the last films. Even though there's a lot of dumb jokes like people are throwing jokes out when people are getting killed or hurt or something. And it's just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But still, there is more serious and darker. It's a darker tone than the other films. Like, there's a part where a character that you think is going to be like a main character gets killed off in a horrible way. Not like, oh, he gets shot and he just falls. No, he gets like burnt to a crisp. And you see the aftermath for quite a while, and I was surprised by that. But besides that, the action is surprisingly dull and boring. The Dinobots, oh my god, wasted potential, completely wasted. They could have been awesome, but they were awful in this. I mean, they looked cool, I'll give them that, but they were awful because they showed up out of nowhere, and I was like, okay, no build up at all. And then when they were there, they barely showed the Dinobots, and when they did, they were getting their ass whooped or just walking. Like, you could have showed them at least, like, whoop some ass a little bit. I mean, you see them bite one robot. That's it. But that's all you get. That's all you get. You see Grimlock bite a freaking robot. That's it. They're... I really don't like this film. The writing is awful. The special effects are good, but, you know... You would expect that for a movie that costs over $200 million to make. The action is dull as hell. The movie is long as shit. It's boring. The drama between all the the human characters is monotonous and terrible. The acting, for the most part, isn't that great. I thought Mark Wahlberg did a good job. And, you know, other people like Kelsey Grammer and Stanley Tucci do a good job for the most part. And like I said, Peter Cullen is great. But for the most part, no one else does an amazing job. It's just a very, very dull, boring as hell, 2 hour and 45 minute waste of time that I was looking forward to. And it just... So I'm going to go over it one more time why I really didn't like it. It's boring. The writing's awful. It's not funny. It's really, really slow at first. It starts off slow and it just gets even slower. Like I said, the action's very dull. The special effects, while really good, are just, you know, typical Michael Bay Transformers good. I mean, there's nothing surprising with the special effects. The main villain, Lockdown, is wasted completely. He's a really cool villain that is barely used here. So sure, there's some positives, like a darker tone, which actually does work. Some really, really good voice acting from some of the Autobots, and some good emotional moments with the Autobots. But still, it's just it's an awful film. I mean, this is kind of an awful review, but I had to just like get it out there. I was actually delaying this review for a little while because I just did not want to talk about it. So I'm sorry if this isn't the best review out there. It's probably really long right now, but I hated this film. I really could not stand it. And when there was some gleaming moments like, oh, that's pretty good, it would just go back to the human drama and the stupid jokes and the just, ooh. I hated it. I really did. I just did not like this film. I'm going to give it a 13 out of a 40. I really, really didn't like it. I'm only giving it that high of a score because there is some good moments with the Autobots and a darker tone. That doesn't mean it's good, but, you know, at least they changed some stuff up. I thought it would be better, but it ended up being worse than most of them. I think the second one's a little bit worse, but the fourth one is just bad. Don't go see it. Please don't. Like, I think I might not go see Transformers 5. That's a lie, I will. But I definitely will. I see everything, though. So it's not like I'm spending my money on an awful film and not seeing stuff like Edge of Tomorrow, which you should see instead. If you had a choice, see that instead. But anyway, I'm gonna end this review here. Terrible film.